the quarterfinals. Now on to the finals here. Getting ready to watch this unfold. Now, Zach Allen has played against Cole already here this weekend. Zach was able to take care of him fairly easily, which you would expect if you know Zach and his resume and how much he loves playing control strategies. And it could be a banner weekend for Team RIW Hobbies in general. Corey Burkhart, someone I know you know very well, worked with, good all-around guy. He just won Players Tour Phoenix, so congratulations to Corey, dispatching William Huey Jensen, the Hall of Famer, former world champion, and many other accolades in the finals. So Team RIW could have champions aplenty here this weekend in Magic, as these players will put their deck list underneath that SCG Tour playmat and get ready to do battle here in just a moment. We'll give them the green light, and we'll get our finals underway. And this could be a second team open win for the team of Fear, Jessup, and Allen this year. They won Columbus, that Team Modern Open, our first open of the year. That'd be very impressive stuff.
Not only did Seder, Carlton, and Cunningham get through one of the top teams in the semifinals, but they did it without the benefit of having the play. Part of the reason to try to hunt down that first overall seed is you have the benefit in the elimination rounds of being on the play in all three matchups. Harlan, Dan, and Zach will have that benefit here. Seder, Carlton, and Cunningham, however, able to break serve in the previous match when they squared off against the second overall seed.
Well, these players taking a look at their opening hands. Again, they'll be given the green light here in just a moment, and our finals will certainly be underway. And Zach Allen's going to kick things off with what he knows best, a hollowed fountain. Temple of Enlightenment, for Cole Cunningham, will allow him to scry during his first turn of the game. And that top card becomes the bottom one, so we're heading back over to Zach now. Field of Ruin, the draw. This is the Birth of Meletis, and this is a nice card, not so much for the overwall and the gaining of 2 life, but to guarantee that you hit your third land drop.
Yeah, it's a little distribution of some stuff. I think it carries a lot more weight in matchups like Mono Red. Here you're not getting a whole lot other than a land drop for your trouble, but in the control mirror matches, often it comes down to the first person to miss their land drop is then under pressure to start either resolving their premium spells at inopportune times or discarding the hand size.
Hitting your land drops in this matchup is so key, as it is in most mirror matches that are control-based, but especially in this one, because something like a Dream Trawler is not going to be that effective when both players have access to Shatter the Sky, as an example, and neither player really has that much counter magic. So I agree with you that Elspeth Conquers Death is a big deal, but it's also those 3-mana Planeswalkers that are a big deal in Narset and Teferi.
Right. I mean, those cards have defined control mirror matches pretty much since they've been around.
Yeah. So Zach will get his 0-4 wall from the Birth of Meletis. And we know he's got a land to play in a Plains. The question is, does he have one of those Planeswalkers to play in Teferi or Narset? Or perhaps he'd like to leave up an Absorb. He'll play that Plains. And he will just pass the turn back. So we're going back over to Cole Cunningham now. Cole will get his own 0-4, and he'll draw. Temple of Enlightenment is his weapon of choice here. That top card will become the bottom one. And we're heading back over, it looks like, to Zach Allen now. On the end step, he's going to play Omen of the Sea. That'll resolve. He'll scry two and then draw a card, will Zach. Split the difference on the scry. New card coming, and he'll untap those 2 lands and draw another card, of course. And as Zach works his way through his 4th turn and resolves the Chapter 3 on the Birth of Meletis, gaining himself 2 life. Let you know, of course, that Sultai Delirium versus Bant Spirits, that's Dan Jessup against Liam Carlton, is underway. As is Demir Wurza against Azorius Control, Harlan versus Robert. When we have updates, we'll let you know. But for now, Zach's going to play a Castle Ardenvale, which is a key card in the mirror. It is slow to actually win the game, but it is a consistent source of pressure generating those 1/1 tokens.
Right. It is something that places the burden on the other player to get onto the battlefield. It can do some work managing Planeswalkers. So it's unlikely that the game breaks that way, where it's just, 10 activations of Castle and you eventually win the game, but it does put a lot of quiet pressure on the other player to respond.
Here's another copy of the Birth of Meletis. Zach gives that a thumbs up very, very quickly. I do want to point out one thing about Zach Allen as well. Last weekend, in Richmond, he did win our Standard Classic with Azorius Control. So he really, really feels comfortable playing this archetype. And, of course, Corey Baumeister, his team won the Team Richmond Open, and Corey was the standard player playing Azorius Control. So I think you've got a pretty safe argument to be had here that Azorius Control is the, at least for right now, the front runner in Theros from Beyond Death Standard. This is a copy of Chemist's Insight, a card that Zach is particularly fond of in combination with Dream Trawler.
Yeah, 2 copies in this list. I think part of that is a concession to the fact that, you have a lot of Game 1 cards that are good against some people and not so good against others. And, Chemist's is a little bit of a hedge there at being able to clean up some of your bad Game 1 cards.
It'll be a hollowed fountain there from Zach. He plays that untapped, takes the 2, and passes the turn back. Chapter 2 on Birth of Meletus has been read here by Cole. So he'll get himself another 0-4 wall. And now, of course, the most important question here is if you're Cole, the young man from Massachusetts, do you have more lands to play? Well, the Birth of Meletus will allow him to search up another plane. So, Chapter 1 is read on his brand new Saga.
Yeah, I would say Zach has a slight edge in the construction list to list. He has 2, very close to the same list, but Alan has 2 copies of Chemist's Insight, where Cunningham has a 2nd and 3rd copy of Glass Casket.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. Those are 2 very different cards in this matchup. Zach clearly wanting to give himself a leg up in the Azorius Control mirror with that Jumpstart card drawer.
Also interesting that their distribution on Castle Ardenvale and Castle Vantress is completely swapped. 3 and 1, but Cunningham on the 3 copies of Vantress and Alan the other way.
So Alan's going to find his Castle Ardenvales pretty easily.
And I think Alan, those 2 copies of Chemist's and the additional copies of Castle Ardenvale, I think suggests to me that Alan puts a premium on having an edge in the mirror match. Mm-hmm. There's an expectation that this deck's going to be popular, that it's good, and you want a little bit less creature removal, a little bit less of a premium on selection, let's say, and more about, being able to draw more cards and put more stuff onto the battlefield.
Well, he'll be able to make a 1-1 for now on the end step, and now he'll draw a card. Picked up a copy of Elspeth Conquers Death. Temple of Enlightenment is the land for the turn. Of course, it enters the battlefield tapped, but it will allow Zach Allen to scry 1. And we will see where that top card is going here in just a moment. It'll become the bottom one. And now there are the beatdowns. Good attack by Zach. Good block by Cole.
Gotta keep him on his toes. Gotta let him know.
They're both zoned in. We're going back over to young Cole Cunningham. Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 have been read, so 2 life will be gained. Another 0-4 on the way. And there you go. Zach will make it easy. He says, you got 3 0-4s because guess what? They're not attacking, bud. There's a basic island. Pretty one at that. And it looks like maybe we got a 3rd wall token coming here in just a moment.
What do you think is the maximum number of those tokens we brought?
We brought like 20.
20?
Yeah, like I checked the box. Got plenty. A little overkill, but...
better to be safe than sorry.
That's right. Well.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
It's only 4 counter spells.
I'm going to put you to the test right away, huh? All right. Well, here's Omen of the Sea. Little scry 2, draw 1. It also forces the hand. You better have Shatter the Sky, I suppose.
I don't know. Against 2 copies of Omen of the Sea and the Castle, there is pressure on Cunningham to act first.
No, I agree with that.
It's risky, but, what do you gain by waiting?
Because here's the thing. Zach's not going to miss a land drop.
No.
That's not a concern. Perhaps Cole may in this game, but Zach's selection has been better with his 2 copies of Omen of the Sea and the Chemist's Insight that he's drawn this game. So I don't have a problem trying to put some pressure on the opponent here. Got a little update here for you in Pioneer. Danny J. Once Dan Jessup wins game number 1 over Liam Carlton. Saltide Delirium up a game here over Bant Spirits. It's been a tough matchup for Jessup, but he did win it last round. And he may be winning it this round as well, as here is a Teferi Time Raveler. That'll start on 4. And Zach will say, oh, my bad. I'll get the black die. That's on me. I apologize. And now here is Shatter the Sky. So all of the walls have been destroyed from the birth of Meletus. Teferi is on the battlefield. Teferi is going to tick down. Going to bounce Omen to the sea for later use. And, of course, draw Zach Allen a card. Looks like he's got plenty of cards in his hand. I think the cool number of 7. And he'll pass the turn back over to Cole Cunningham.
Make a land drop, kill everything, tap all my mana, 7 cards in hand. Perfect.
That's how you draw it up if you're a blue-white control player, which I am not. But these two very much are.
I used to be. Different times.
I understand. Time and a place for that sort of thing. Cunningham will play a Plains. He might be trying to conquer some death now, perhaps. Here's Elspeth Conquers Death. Teferi has been exiled due to the powerful Saga, and he'll pass the turn back with 2 mana available. We're going back over to Zach Allen. We know he's got 7 cards, 8 after he draws, and one of them is an Omen of the Sea. Now let's make it another one since that was his draw step.
Might not be a bad spot for Allen here to try to resolve his own copy of Dream Trawler. No risk of it getting absorbed. Also might be happy just trying to pull ahead on cards and keep making land drops.
Here's Teferi Time Raveler. That looks like it might get hit by a Dovin's Veto, and it will. Now there's a Field of Ruin, and this is an Elspeth Conquers Death, killing the opposing Elspeth Conquers Death. I'll say killing, but it's actually exiling the enchantment. So now we're going to head back over to Cole, who does have an Absorb in hand.
Really good sequencing there from Allen.
And he has his own Elspeth Conquers Death, which kills the one that was on the battlefield there for Allen. So these players are exchanging very powerful 5-mana enchantments as we head back over to Zach Allen. Jessup with a bit of a smile on his face as he watches Zach Allen, saying, thank goodness I don't have to do this myself. Here is Omen of the Sea. Going to cast that with the Field of Ruin and an island as he scries 2. Wants to make sure he wants to put those on the bottom. Going to check with his hand here.
Well, these players, I believe, on 4 copies of Elspeth Conquers Death.
Very, very, very powerful card. There's Castle Ardenvale. That's the draw. Another Omen of the Sea.
Yeah. Allen here really trying to avoid, if possible, tapping out into an Absorb and really just trying to make sort of incremental progress. There's not a whole lot of pressure on him to answer Elspeth Conquers Death right now. Chapter 2 is sort of innocuous. And Chapter 3, even if a Dream Trawler gets recurred, you can probably set up another sweeper to open and answer it that way. The big thing is don't give an opening for Cunningham to resolve something big. Just sort of take your cards, nickel and dime them along the way. And eventually the extra cards you're kind of picking up as you go about your business, or your copy of Castle Ardvale is something you can convert into a win.
Castle Vantress is the play. Allen's found his copy of that. Now he's tapping 4. And he's going to main phase a copy of Chemist's Insight right now. A little interesting, perhaps. Pass the turn back. Why do you think the thought... Oh, the main phase, I understand now. Chapter 2 on Elspeth Conquers Death. It's going to be a little too expensive if he waits, so... Allen's shields are down. The thing is, though, is there's not really all that much that's scary that Cole Cunningham can do. So Cole Cunningham just passes the turn back, doesn't even play a land, so he's the player who's missed their first land drop here in our Azorius Control Mirror.
Surprising, as he's cast 3 copies of Birth Miletus. But Alan's been doing a ton of scrying, too, so keeping the top of his deck set up with lands that way.
Dream Trawler. Looks like an Absorb's coming. All right. Interesting there. You know, Zach has such a presence in these games where Dream Trawler gets countered, he doesn't even think twice about it. Okay, that's gone. Next thing.
Yep.
And that's going to be tough for young Cole Cunningham to overcome. Not saying he's incapable. He's made it to the finals here. I've been doing it with a deck that's pretty darn difficult to play, so a very impressive performance. But he's going up against one of the very best on the SCG Tour in these control mirrors, and he's already lost to him once.
It's an interesting matchup in part because a lot of the cards fluctuate a lot in their value. There's sometimes where Narset and Teferi are the whole game, and there's other spots where they're fairly innocuous.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing is true of even Dream Trawler.
Let's see what Zach wants to do here. Zach is going to jumpstart a Chemister's Insight in response to this Teferi, so he's going to draw 2 new cards. An island, let's make it 2 islands, and he is flooding out a little bit here. So Teferi's now on the battlefield. You do wonder how scary that is. Teferi's going to go down 2-1, not going to bounce anything. Cole will draw a new card. And he's still missing land drops, but what that means is that his hand is all spells.
Yep, and with Teferi on the battlefield, it sort of blunts your need for additional mana in this spot specifically because your opponent really can't initiate a counter war with you. Mm-hmm. That's the spot where you really feel if you're bottlenecked on mana is you just can't play 2 spells or 3 spells even sometimes. But here, Alan's counter spells are completely shut off while Teferi Time Raveler's on the battlefield. And so there's less pressure on him from Cunningham's side to have all the mana in the world to be able to fight multiple fights.
Zach is going to play a land for the turn. He'll go to Elspeth Conquers Death. He's just trying to figure out exactly how he wants to cast a very powerful enchantment. But this is part of the benefit of being able to play multiple spells in one turn with all those lands that you have, where I'm not sure that Cole actually has the ability to really do that. And you see Zach point out that this is the land that I played for the turn, and this is my plan for the turn. I think we're going to see Cole fight back in some capacity here, maybe with another copy of Absorb. And there is Absorb. So that is taken care of. Now, will Zach go to Shatter the Sky now? Because he has a copy of that in his hand. And does Cole have another 2 mana counter spell? The answer is no. But he will get to draw a card from the Dream Trawler dying because it was 4 power, given the text on Shatter the Sky. So back over to Cole Cunningham we go. He's already reaching for some mana here. Hasn't used his Teferi just yet.
Cunningham here, you got to suspect that Alan's reeling a little bit. He doesn't have a whole lot going on.
Oh, there's Narset. Parter of Veil. So Narset's going to go down to 3. Take a look at the top handful of cards. There is a Dream Trawler among those cards. But that's not one you can take. So it's going to be Elspeth Conquers Death added to the grip.
And this is starting to cinch in a little bit here on Alan. A lot of dimensions are being cut off. Those 2 Planeswalkers in conjunction really dominating blue mirror matches. Just locks out a lot of different cards, a lot of different options.
Elspeth Conquers Death. The draw there is Castle Ardenvale. And I think we're going to see Zach pivot to start making creatures. To be able to start checking these Planeswalkers.
Gotta get something on the battlefield. Gotta be threatening the Planeswalkers at least a little bit.
Now, Zach's hand isn't incredibly powerful. I will note he does have 3 lands in his hand along with an Elspeth Conquers Death. But this is why these Castle Ardenvales are in multiples in his deck, for him to be able to make a pretty clean pivot to make 2 creatures each turn.
It's at least a line of play.
Yeah.
No guarantee that it's going to be good enough here, but at least it gives him some hope of threatening the Planeswalkers.
There's a new Narset there for Cole Cunningham. So his current Narset is on 1. very easy for Zach Allen to kill if he'd like. This is an Omen of the Sea. So, scry 2. And the scrying is done with the new blue enchantment. We'll make sure that we'll make sure that Omen of the Sea is actually on the battlefield as opposed to off screen and potentially in the graveyard there for Cole. I think he accidentally set it over there. Problem solved. Field of Ruin going to go after Castle Ardenvale here by Zach.
Yeah, and Allen trying to get back in this game by getting an advantage in terms of the Castle Ardenvale activation. He's at 2. This Field of Ruin is going to put Cunningham down to 0 for the game. Mm-hmm. This is his lone copy.
And that's a substantial advantage there for Allen.
Yep. And again, shifts the burden on to Cunningham here to maybe try to resolve something.
So Field of Ruin looking to tag that Castle Ardenvale. And Cole asking his team, how should I respond? And he will respond by activating his lone Castle Ardenvale, and now it's gone for the game. So Zach's going to search up a basic. Cole will do the same. There's a basic island there for Cole. It's a basic island there for Zach as well. Not sure which one of those is prettier. They're both pretty beautiful looking lands. I really am into those new Theros full art lands.
Yeah, they are sweet.
I think they're pretty darn cool.
But the old unlands are sweet too.
It's tough to tough to go wrong here.
Appreciate the craft from both players. I'll say that.
I'm inclined to agree. As Greg Hatch would say, there is no wrong way to eat this Reese's. 2 1-1s. We miss you, Greg.
Can we get a Greg Hatch Patreon? It's just him talking about things.
We'll have to talk about it after the show.
Okay.
I can't imagine the answer is no. Zach's going to go to Teferi now.
Modern Classic players. After 8 rounds of Swiss, we have your
It's time to get to work on Narset.
If this attack works, it is a huge win.
Yeah, it's step 1. So what this does with the Narset dying is that it allows Teferi to bounce something now on the main phase and allow Zach Allen to draw a card.
Yeah,
I mean, he couldn't do before.
Maybe you want to do something with Oracle of the Sea, maybe not, but at least it's an option now.
More importantly, with Teferi on the battlefield, Elspeth Conquers Death is going to take care of this Teferi, and now the Teferi advantage is Zach Allen. I'm not convinced we're going to see Zach Allen even activate this Teferi. It's possible, because he can just bounce that token. But he might want to bounce an Omen of the Sea, maybe even Elspeth Conquers Death. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to be threatened by the token here.
Mm-hmm. I like this play here from Zach. He's just going to plus his Teferi, put it up to 5. Still has the ability to activate either Castle Ardenvale or Castle Vantress with the mana available, or protect himself via Dovin's Veto.
Yeah, a lot of, like we said at the top, a lot of this game, a lot of this matchup is about managing Elspeth Conquers Death. It's a really dynamic card, and the types of pressures that it puts on players in various spots can be very different. Gallen's done a really good job navigating this game, and a lot of it has to do with him having 3 copies of Castle Ardenvale versus 1 copy on the other side.
Yes, Elspeth Conquers Death once again.
And 0 copies of Field of Ruin in Cunningham's list also. He is just at a deficit fighting over the lands.
There'll be 2 of these now. So Elspeth Conquers Death not once but twice here from Cole Cunningham. Cole's is going to resolve. Now he's got to choose wisely. Do you want to take care of the same enchantment on the other side of the battlefield, or do you want to unlock some things by exiling the Teferi that's on the battlefield? And I think he's got to ask his teammates, because this is, Patrick, a crucial decision.
Yes, I mean, this is the I can't imagine his hand is that flush on counter spells. There's only so many really floating around in the matchup.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like Cole's going to take care of Teferi for good. So the Time Raveler is no longer on the battlefield. And now, at some stages in matchups like this, what you end up seeing more often than not is players actually tapping out. Tapping low or tapping out entirely.
Well, there really just aren't that many counter spells in these decks. Cole Cunningham has a Dobin's Veto and 4 copies of Absorb. Allen has 2 copies of Dobin's Veto and 4 copies of Absorb.
Mm-hmm.
So your stuff is going to resolve pretty reliably. Anyways, it's just the flow of the game at this point is Cunningham is forced to act because of Castle Ardenvale. He's got to get ahead on the battlefield a little bit. Left to their own devices on an infinite timeline, Allen gets the better of it. The act of him tapping out or tapping low gives opportunities for Allen to resolve stuff on his own turn. And so these players are actually playing to the battlefield pretty proactively.
Zach is going to go to Narset, Parter of Veils. He'll take a look at the top handful of cards. And we'll see what this selection is. Let you know how that modern match is going. Team Hollowed Fountain, that's the team on the right. With Azorius control, Robert is up a game right now over Harlan Fear playing Demir Wurza. Dream Trawler and a blue-white duel is what we're looking at here. And it looks like he did that via jump-starting Chemister's Insight. So now that top card's going to stay on top from the Temple of Enlightenment. And now will we see Dream Trawler get deployed? We will. And that's his entire turn. That's all the mana. Yeah. That's everything.
Tapped out, drew a bunch of cards, did some stuff again.
And Zach, what Zach has done a nice job of over the course of this game is he's used his mana, and I mean basically all of it, every single turn.
Yep.
Those numbers have lined up beautifully for him. And Cole Cunningham is doing his darndest to keep up. And not doing a bad job of it, but he's gone through most of his copies of Elspeth Conquers Death. And let's see where he's going now. Narset. It's going to cost a little more because of the second chapter that's been read on the very powerful enchantment on Zach's side of the battlefield. There is a Shatter the Sky, and that can reset things. There is a Plains. Shadow the Sky is going to cost 6, and that's going to work. So everything is going to get killed here. Battlefield gets all cleaned up. But this is what Game 1 in the Azorius Control Mirror and Standard does look like more often than not. We're going to go back over to Zach Allen. He's going to untap all of those lands.
Still a win of sorts for Allen here, as getting that Shadow the Sky out of the way prior to your Elspeth Conqueror's Death entering Chapter 3 is really strong.
Now the question is, what does Zach Allen want to return? It looks like he's going to go to Teferi. It would be easy to get back a Dream Trawler. It is so attractive after all, but Teferi Time Raveler is going to come back. It'll start with 4 counters. Zach looking for the black die. He's found it. Black dice for our Planeswalkers, of course. Zach's already drawn his card for the turn, and now Narset's going to tick down to 1. So up we go. You may be wondering why Teferi is on 5 counters instead of 4. And that is because Elspeth Conqueror's deck brings back your Planeswalker with an additional loyalty.
That's a huge hit there for Allen.
Elspeth Conqueror's Death number, I've lost track of how many times it's been played in this game by both players, but it's another one here for Zach.
Yeah, I feel like Cunningham might have played all 4 copies.
I think you may be right about that, partner.
And if this is able to resolve and take care of Cunningham's Elspeth Conqueror's Death, This might be, Allen is really close to cinching this game up. He's got Cunningham locked on a number of dimensions here. The Planeswalkers, Cunningham's not going to be able to keep on the battlefield anymore because of Castle Ardenvale. The Narset Teferi squeeze is going to lock out a lot of different dimensions. Counterspells are off the table. The card drawing becomes a lot more problematic. And if Cunningham doesn't have a big turn right now, I think he's just about done.
Narset's going to whiff. Hollowed Fountain is the land for the turn, and he's going to pass the turn back. And that gives Zach Allen the opportunity to either make a 1-1 or start cracking Omen of the Sea. And he's just going to make a 1-1.
No, just on the battlefield. Get as much infrastructure set up here as possible to avoid Planeswalkers from mattering.
That's Shaheen Sarani token, and you know he loves this Azorius Control Mirror. That's going to take care of Narset. And Zach is going to minus his Teferi. He's going to bounce that Omen of the Sea. That will draw him a card. Picked up a copy of Absorb, giving him even more protection.
And remember, with Teferi Time Raveler, Cunningham can't fight back at all in any sort of counterspell battle.
He's going to main phase this Omen of the Sea that he just picked up. So he'll take a look at the top couple of cards. Dovin's Veto among those cards. Almost impossible to say no to that, but he's going to think it through with the Scry 2. And he's happy enough. He'll play another Castle Ardenvale. And you can see the difference in deck construction and how when you're building a constructed deck in Magic the Gathering, every single slot counts. This Castle split here for Zach Allen is all the difference in the world. As good as Castle Vantress is, partner, Castle Ardenvale, the better card in this matchup.
No question. And, Allen's got a lot of calls here on kind of the fringes of the deck construction that are all about getting edge in the mirror match, and they've all come to bear in this game. 3 copies of Castle Ardenvale versus 1 copy of Field of Ruin versus 0, 2 copies of Dovin's Veto versus 1, 2 copies of Chemist's Insight against additional creature removal. Cunningham is at a slight disadvantage in the way the decks are constructed in terms of the number of cards that Allen has that are better. But when a game goes on for this long, you see them.
Yeah.
All the stuff comes up. And the fact that Allen, in particular, has been able to leverage a major advantage with Castle Ardenvale has put Cunningham in a burden of having to act in spots that were not good for him to be acting. And now we've reached this point where Allen has been able to resolve enough key stuff, answer Cunningham's few relevant cards, and now is dominating on a number of fronts. This was a death by 1,000 cuts. It wasn't like there was one moment where the game got away from Cunningham. There are just a lot of small moments leading up to this.
Mm-hmm. And this is the kind of stuff that Zach Allen's really good at doing, especially in mirror matches. Death by 1,000 cuts, not just a Taylor Swift song, a great way to frame up this game. Zach's going to make a couple knuckleheads here. And it's funny because you would think, what's the big deal with all these 1/1s? How does this really add up? But it really does. The ability to check Planeswalkers. And, 31 life is a lot, but we'll get to that.
Right. That's a arbitrary check mark after all the other damage has been done.
Zach wants to get back a Dream Trawler with a Chapter 3 of Elspeth Conquers Death. Going to get a +1/+1 counter, of course. So now Dream Trawler is a little bit larger. Teferi is going to plus. We're going to go after Narset. Narset's gone. Let's see what comes next. Not a ton. Robert coming over here for the assist. Here's Teferi.
Got Teferi hit with the Dovin's Veto.
That makes a lot of sense there.
Allen with 2 other copies of Absorb in hand. No reason to give a window for...
Shatter the Sky. So what's interesting here, so this is another thing that I think Zach does a really nice job of. Let's assess the situation. Is it time to fire off Absorbs on Shatter the Skies? He doesn't have to.
At 31, it seems early to me.
Yeah, and I don't think he's gonna. Yeah, he just says, that's fine.
Yeah.
I can just make more bozos on the end step. I get to draw a card from the Shatter of the Sky, so I don't really have to do anything. And Cole is running out of cards.
Right,
that matter.
yeah, I think he might just be down. I actually literally don't know if he can win the game.
Yeah, just out of win conditions. Like, he doesn't have a castle, doesn't really have anything going on.
Yes, Robert's not the game. He should be playing. We only hold when there is a risk of the match finishing off camera. If they go to a game 3 and this is still going on, we could reassess, but in the time being, we should be playing. Are we doing a count here to see
Relevant cards.
can I literally win the game with what is left in my deck?
Yeah, I think this is just solely a relevant card count in the graveyard. And I think that's what Zach wants to know as well, is just how many Teferis, how many Narsets, how many Elspeth Conquers Death, that sort of thing.
I mean, Narset doesn't even count, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even
No, it doesn't. It's not relevant.
Yeah.
All right. Castle Vantris. Teferi, no. That one, arguable if worth countering, but I think good enough to counter.
Yeah, I think as long as Allen has another counterspell in his hand, there's really no reason to allow Cunningham any window to resolve anything.
Yep. So, 2 more Knuckleheads. Untap all those lands. I mean, this is... if you're Zach Allen, this is how you draw it up.
Yeah.
This is... I mean, every step of the game, this is how you draw it up. I'm not one to say that he's played a perfect game, because I think it's very hard to play a perfect game of Magic, but this is pretty darn close, my friend.
Well, he definitely understands. I mean, they have deck lists at this point. There's a review. Allen understands in game 1 that he has some really significant structural advantages and has leveraged every little bit of it here.
Yeah, he's leaned on them beautifully as Teferi is going to go up. Narset continues to sit at 1. Omen of the Seas, one thing I like that Zach's also not doing here is he's not breaking Omen of the Sea at all, because the only reason you break that card is if you're looking for something in particular.
Right.
If Cole does something that you can't handle, then you can try to find the answer.
Right.
But none of that's happening right now, so you can just continue to leave him on the battlefield.
Right. Shatter of the Sky is on top of your deck. Do you want it or not? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not. So you just wait until you have the most information possible for what you're looking for.
I think he's done such a fantastic job of assessing all stages of this game. That's going to be Narset, and yeah,
that does not matter.
That's one of those whatever.
Yep, that's you get to maybe turn that into a spell, and then it's dead next turn.
And there's a Teferi. Now, that one will probably counter, like we saw previously. But again, maybe not positive on that.
I'm actually not sure he would counter it this time, because there's no threat of him making a follow-up play if he cast it this turn.
Sure.
The windows before where Allen's fought over it are spots where he has like 9 mana left over and maybe could do something. Here, with 2 left over, it's like, all right, it resolves, make some soldiers and attack it down.
You're going to get a Castle Vantris activation and then 2 Castle Ardenvale activations. So up to 6 little Knuckleheads. Time to untap. Hollowed Fountain 2. Zach's built up a beautiful battlefield here as we work ourselves into the 38th minute of this game 1. Here come the attacks. You'll get 3 there, 3 going upstairs. So Cole's going to fall down to 22. Zach still with at least 1 copy of Absorb in hand. Up to 7 goes to Ferry. Nothing to do with Narset. Pass the turn back. Very comfortable. Zach's going to take a look at his graveyard, assess the situation. And Cole's going to activate Castle Vantress. Get a better look. Scry 2 cards to the bottom. And I think he'll be doing that a lot because there's not much left to find.
Right.
Cole wants to take a look at the graveyard. A lot can be learned here in this situation. For people watching at home, for Cole as well. Again, Zach is one of our very best control players on the SCG Tour, and he's gotten pretty surgical at this game about what matters and why his deck is built the way that it is.
Yeah.
So he'll make a couple more Shaheen Sarani tokens. And it's funny, too, because, and you probably know this from playing with Kajoran Outpost or some other cards, those 1/1s, they add up pretty quickly.
Right. And, I mean, we're a spot now where we're looking at 9 this coming turn and then 12 next turn.
Mm-hmm.
It's very close to lethal.
It doesn't actually take all that long. Plains the draw. He'll play his land very quickly. Teferi's going to go up. Here come the beatdowns. Down to 13. Yeah, Zach, I don't have to do anything else. Just go ahead. 3 mana. Teferi. Well, I'll fight over that one probably. We'll see. Yep, there's an absorb. 3 more life here for Zach Allen. Let's see what comes here for Cole Cunningham if he has anything else to do. He'll play an island very quickly. He's already reaching for mana. Let's see what this threat's going to be. Perhaps Dream Trawler? Okay. How's this go? All right, Zach says I'll try to absorb this one. Yeah, and that's going to do it, folks. Zach Allen's going to win game number 1 here over Cole Cunningham, a masterclass in how to win a control mirror and why his deck is built the way that it is in this standard format. Those 3 copies of Castle Ardenvale playing a huge role, and that copy of Field of Ruin destroying Cole's puts him up a game in our finals.
Just knew the deck lists, knew the advantages, and leveraged them perfectly.
We are going to go now to Cole Cunningham. He's got 4 Devout Decree, 3 Mystical Dispute, 2 Helios Intervention, 2 Aether Gust, 2 Disdainful Stroke, another copy of Dovin's Veto, and a Sorcerer's Spyglass. What do we like here and why?
The Dovin's Veto, the Disdainful Strokes, and the Mystical Disputes. I think you just kind of want more counterspells for this matchup. Mystical Dispute actually makes me a little bit nervous because that's the exact type of card with a shelf life here that won't go on forever, and maybe it's actually not good for the matchup. But the hard counters in Veto and Disdainful Stroke I like.
Other side of things here for Zach. He's got 4 copies of Aether Gust, 3 Mystical Dispute, 2 Banishing Light, 2 Archon of Sun's Grace. Might want to try to get a little aggressive. 2 Devout Decree, a Dovin's Veto, and a Whirlwind Denial.
Like the Dovin's Veto a lot here. Again, the Mystical Disputes are kind of... It's in that tough spot, right? They are good. They're going to be good in some counterspell battles, but their shelf life is limited, and these games go on for a long time. I don't mind the Whirlwind Decree necessarily. Archon of Sun's Grace. I'm guessing that is more supposed to be for the aggressive matchups, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was a conversion here and, just try to have a different dimension of combat here.
Okay.
I think it's probably not worth it from Allen's perspective to try to get aggressive here because he has such inevitability with the Castle Ardenvale advantage that he has, and there's nothing that Cunningham can really do to solve that post board.
Well, those are your options there for both players. And game number 2 between them is going to be underway here in just a moment. You see the scoreboard. Danny Jessup has won his match here over Liam Carlton. That's Sultai Delirium up and done over Bant Spirits. Harlan Fear currently down a game against Azorius Control, and Cole Cunningham can say the same as he is down a game to Azorius Control as well. So, game number 2 about to be underway here. How do you think Cole gets back into this? Is there anything that he can do that's special here, or is he just at too much of a disadvantage just because of how the decks are constructed?
It's tough because you would the way that you would want to address this sort of thing if you were Cunningham would be to find some way to be more aggressive, to speed up your deck, or to have more answers to Castle Ardenvale. And it really doesn't have anything to go in either direction besides, I suppose, one copy of Sorcerer's Spyglass, which is not the most reliable thing. So I don't really know how you solve it. I think there's a burden on Cunningham to be aggressive and play I would say, riskier Magic, because if the game just drags out, if it reaches its natural conclusion, it's very hard for him to beat Allen. He's got to muck it up a little bit. He's got to be faster. He's got to try to, not shorten the length of the game, essentially.
Well, we're going to watch Game 2 unfold here in just a moment. You see Zach is conferring there with Danny Jessup, and we are going to very quickly, for the final time this week, and talk about Star City Games Premium, where you'll get exclusive content from Sheldon Menery, Jerry Thompson, Emma Handy, Paulo Vitor Damaderosa, Patrick Sullivan to my left, your right, even though you can't see him, and a whole bunch more over at starcitygames.com/join-premium. We've also got plenty of other goodies if you become a premium member, like 5% off of sealed products, 10% off of singles, and 15% off of supplies. Again, at starcitygames.com/join-premium today. Only $7.99 a month. Get the best content for competitive Magic and a whole bunch more. And perhaps I got to have a little chit-chat with Zach Allen. Maybe it's time for him to take over the mantle of control enthusiast from Shaheen. That would be mean.
You want a control mirror decathlon?
Yeah.
10 matches.
How about just versus video? We push out Ross and Corey, Shaheen, Zach Allen, blue-white control until there are no viewers left. Until they all leave the channel.
Just blue-white mirror match by the ages.
Yeah.
We do Kajeldor. We start with Kajeldor Outpost, Millstone.
Oh, I like that.
Actually, we start with the deck. Vintage
Okay,
the deck, yeah.
Number one.
Right.
Okay. Every blue-white control deck in history. Onslaught block, blue-white control with Decree of Justice and Stifles. We can go all the way through.
Saga Masks block, blue-white control.
Is that Blinding Angel?
It could be.
Oh, yeah.
Sabo's Web.
Oh, yeah.
Sabo's Decree.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Like that. Like that. Yeah. All right, so here's what we're going to do now. Because we're all tied up in our modern match between Harlan Fear and Robert Seder. Now we're going to go up top because we want to be able to show you guys the final win if it does take place, and it can take place up top in our modern match. So, as much fun as this Azorius control match has been, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit, I've got a feeling it's going to be there for a little while.
Yeah. We can come back to it.
I've got an inkling it's going to be there for a little while. So Harlan Fear, Robert Seder, let's turn our attention to you. Demir Werza versus Azorius Control. Not to say that this one's going to go any quicker. Now we're passing out waters in the feature match area. Everybody get comfortable. That's right. Well, stay hydrated, Ross? Is that what you said? It's important. Oh, okay. Ryan letting me know over turf that it's fundamental to stay hydrated. It's big. Leads to a lot of wins, is what I've heard.
I haven't found that.
No? No?
I haven't found that to be true.
Okay. Well,
I stay pretty hydrated now, and I can't beat any of these jokers.
good to know.
20 years ago, when I was fueled by, in all caps, redacted.
Yeah, sure.
No one could touch me.
Sure. Got it. I was one of those people at a tournament. I didn't eat.
No.
I didn't eat.
Of course not.
I didn't eat or drink anything.
No.
Just
coffee.
We stopped at McDonald's on the way. At the site, I didn't buy a thing. And then after, to the house.
Right.
To the Waffle House. Let's go. Or some other diner.
I used to come home from PTQs and just puke.
Well,
and I always thought. I
don't know if that's healthy.
I always thought it must be because I'm stressed out.
Okay.
I'm playing these, I got a lot on the line relative to whatever it's at the time. Now looking back at it, I don't think that was true.
No.
I don't think it was stress.
No, I can't say that's the best way to approach a tournament, but again, to each their own.
No one could touch me, man.
I understand.
I was unstoppable.
I heard you the first time. I understand.
Do you understand that
I just said I did.
John Sani was the most dominant Northeast PTQ player, and then I came in, and you know who came in after me? No one. That was it.
Got it.
That was the end of there being a dominant PTQ player in the Northeast.
You were the
last one.
You were the last guy. So in the past 15 years, there hasn't been anyone else.
No, not worth mentioning. Not that I know. Who would it even be? You can't name them. You're kind of around. You can't name them.
I couldn't even hope to try.
Who would it be?
Ben Hayes?
I
got it on my first try.
Ben Hayes.
Ben Hayes on my first try. I got it.
Ben Hayes, I'll challenge him to a 10-match decathlon to be held all over New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia.
Okay. I'll let him know.
Lobby of the Heralds.
No.
Basement of your move gate and neutral ground.
You guys can settle this in your play design crash courses or whatever it is you do there.
That horrible venue in Westchester next to the gas station. All the hits. You know them.
Sure.
You come find me. Here's a Thoughtseize.
Stony Silence is gone. Celestial Purge, Opt, Lands is what's left over. Flooded Strand, Polluted Delta, and Mystic Sanctuary. Here for Robert, and you better get that bauble out there.
Oh, yeah.
You do not want that to get countered. Here's an Opt.
You know Robert's work.
Yeah.
He's likely to snap off that. That one's liable to get mana leaked.
Yeah, he's big into blue-white. So if you take a look at Robert's results page like we did earlier, you can Google Robert Seder MTG. You're gonna find
It is awesome.
You're gonna find a lot of Azorius control results.
Oh yeah.
He plays one way, and I respect it.
It's a deep well.
First through eighth, a lot of top finishes with Azorius control across many formats. That's a Scalding Tarn. This is a Nile Spellbomb. That'll resolve. Good thing we took out that Stony Silence. Otherwise, this hand would stink. Robert thinking about sacrificing a Flooded Strand, and he will.
Robert pre-separates his graveyard. Snapcaster targets other.
Respect.
Yeah. I got a lot of respect for Seder's game.
Yeah.
Might not seem, because it's different sides of the spectrum or whatever. But I like watching, as I called them before, the Street Fighter 2 characters. The people with they got the one move,
Yeah. 100-hand punch.
100-hand.
Or 100-hand slap, I suppose. You're a Balrog guy. That's
Balrog, yeah.
Yeah, you're not an E
Seder.
Mm-hmm.
Blanca, just sitting there spamming the electrocute button.
That's right. Well,
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Mana can Cryptic Command the draw.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, see, he's saying how it's divided.
It's pretty obvious why it's
confusing.
Why it is what it is.
It's confusing here because the Nile Spellbomb, now it looks like maybe there's an exile pile and not, but
not confusing for Robert.
No.
He knows what's happening. That's why he's here. That's a Polluted Delta from Harlan Fear. We're going to go back over to Robert. Robert will draw a Mystic Sanctuary, sacrifice the Delta. He'll get a basic island. 3 islands in the battlefield. The Sanctuary will be able to put an Opt back on top if he so chooses to. There's a Sanctuary. It's called Value. Yeah. Do you want to respond with your bobble? Because you can.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's fine. You get your...
If you want to get my 2 options, you can. I'm loving it.
Harlan, come on, dream a little bit bigger.
He's got Whir.
No, I'm talking about spellbombing away his ops.
I understand. I call that dreaming the appropriate amount. Got him. Got his Opt. Harlan's going to sacrifice 2 fetch lands. You're telling him to dream big. I think that's an appropriate level dream.
You don't think you can do any better?
No way.
That's the best you
I
can
don't
do.
think Robert's going to let him do any better. How about that? Whir of Invention. Where we going, baby? Is it time for the sword? The thop there? What time is it, Harlan?
Well, Seder is gonna just...
He's going to Cryptic Command that. He says it's not time for anything. So let's head back over to Harlan here.
Not going to let that one resolve.
No. Ain't happening. Harlan now going to shuffle his deck from the double fetch. And we're going to head back over. He'll draw. Urza the draw. There is Thopter Foundry. And it's time to pass the turn back. We are going over to Robert Seder. Monastery Mentor the draw. Already picked up the opt off the cantripping of Cryptic Command. Is it time to go again?
Yeah, he's running it right back.
Yeah. How about another opt?
Yeah. Well, you can't get greedy and ask for the whole thing. You can't get the Cryptic Command. You're just going to get Spellbound. The opt, you might be able to cut Harlan a little deal.
Dude, we call this new plan. Monastery Mentor, opting, make a token, make a token.
Recur all my ops.
Yep.
Here's a Monastery Mentor.
Yep.
Spellbound made my Cryptic, that's fine. Had no interest in doing anything with that anyway.
Hope you're ready for that. I'm into it.
Mana leak in hand.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to sack the... Are we sacking the Foundry? Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Chill.
All right. Bobble. Target. It's an opt. Now where are we going? All right, we're going to sack the... Wow, okay, sack the Thopter Foundry. Get busy in the red zone. All right. Gain a life, make a Nick Miller.
Okay.
Draw a card. Mystic Sanctuary. Draw a card. Sword of the Meek. Awkward.
I guess it's time to suit up.
All right, let's make it a 2-3 and get busy.
It's time to start. I don't know. I guess it's time to start banging.
Now I know you are a big fan of Mana Leak, and it is about to tag an Urza.
Oh yeah. Listen,
I'm listening.
this Robert Seder guy.
Yeah.
If you're Harlan's spot, this dude's got a Mana Leak for sure.
Oh yeah.
He's waiting for you. He's waiting. My hand is nothing but ops and Mana Leaks. You do something, I'll Mana Leak it. You don't do anything, I opt. Find another Mana Leak.
Ah, the whir looks like it's going on top. All right. No.
This is about to get swatted in the third row, too.
No.
Bang!
Make a monk token. I like that attack. Nick Miller flying in. War of Invention will be Harlan's draw next turn. I would say Harlan is in some serious trouble this game.
Yes.
Opt is the draw. I think we've established that quite a few times.
Robert's now in the position of a lot of pressure and counter spells and forcing Harlan to play into a shorter game. Opt.
Yeah, we'll start with an opt. Prowess triggers as well, and make another monk. Take a look at the top card. See if it's going to be staying the top card. It is. I think that may have been a Field of Ruin. Another opt in hand. It looks like we might be firing off Field of Ruin right now. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know if are you cutting Harlan off of anything if you do that, I guess is the question.
Slowed himself down a smidge. There's another opt. Another token.
Oh, yeah.
Take a look at the top card. Get a little look-ski-poo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the Fate Seal. Is that
a good card? Yeah, I like this attack. Jace the Mind Sculptor, everybody. Put that Word of Invention on the bottom.
You cannot tell by watching Robert's face, but he is having the time of his life doing this.
Archmage's Charm ain't it.
That ain't it.
Urza, make a construct, bounce it, beat you down. think you got to go to Urza because it's Urza.
So he's got 3 mana left over.
So Seder has a spell the game ends, am I right? You bounce the construct, Monastery Mentor, and a monk token get blocked. That's 3 damage, and then any
Yeah,
spell.
well, I guess another problem here is that Robert has 18,000 looks at it, even if he's missing a spell.
There is that. Robert needs a spell. What are the chances his deck coughlins up with all these looks?
Can mana leak his own spell.
Well, that means he has to play one.
Yeah, but just to run up the score.
No, I get it.
Yeah, or you just unsummon. I don't know. It's whatever.
Block, block, block.
But he could have a spell. Harlan, that is.
It's true. Oh, you know what we got? I think we have an opt.
Oh.
Oh.
That's going to play here.
Ooh, an opt. Yeah, that's a Celestial Purge. Can't play that one. How about an opt? Make another monk. Now, I'm assuming Harlan's at 4 because this.
I mean, he got railroaded last turn. He has to be pretty low.
So I confirm he's at 4? Because right now we got 2 2/2s that would get through. All right, now we're.
But he's got 3. He's got 3 blue up. He could play something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay. You're right. He does have mana up because of Urza, and he does have Archmage's Charm in hand. So I'm with you. What is this?
Ooh, another throwback.
That's tough.
Another classic joint.
Game over. Robert Seder is going to win this one over Harlan Fear, 2-1. He is truly having, and you can't see it, he's having the time of his life.
Oh, yeah.
Another accomplishment for Azorius Control in the hands of Robert Seder. And now we go to our standard match between Zach Allen and Cole Cunningham. They will be given the green light, and we will be underway.
That was awesome.
You enjoy that?
Robert, bless you.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And now he's sitting down for another Azorius.
This is literally the dream.
Didn't even take a second to gather himself or de-sideboard. Just almost slide right on over.
Back on to business.
He waved off someone.
Who likes Azorius Control more, Robert or Zach Allen? It's tough.
Robert.
Cole is in third place in this discussion for sure.
Robert.
I don't know, man. Zach lives for this. We are underway. Game 2. Castle Ardenvale versus Temple of Enlightenment. Let's do it. Your leans being Robert here. It's hard to say you're wrong, honestly, partner. It really is. Castle Vantris versus Island. Those are the land drop number 2 for each player. Now, I do wonder. You sideboard out Birth of Meletus in this matchup, right?
I mean, it depends how, part of your mana base you would describe it. It's probably the easiest thing if it's not like, I'm short a lane or 2 in the deck because I'm playing with Birth.
Mm-hmm. An Island. An Omen of the Sea. Scry 2, draw 1. Plains. And now, Zach Allen's not going to have any difficulty hitting a land drop thus far.
Well, I don't know about that, because if you play that as land number 3, you would like to play a second blue mana for the purpose of Zorb.
Okay.
That land drop there suggests to me there's a chance that Allen does not have a 4th land right now.
Well, maybe Omen of the Sea's got some work to do. It also could be Mystical Dispute, something like that. But he's going to sacrifice Omen of the Sea. Well, keep.
Yeah, quick, keep.
Island. Let's get it down there, maybe.
Don't shuffle the island around in your hand, Allen. We all know you drew it. No one believes you. Oh, wow.
You got somewhere to go, bud?
I'm just saying.
Yeah?
No one believes you.
You got a dinner appointment?
Got to shuffle it around.
The Olive Garden doesn't take reservations. They'll bring you in any time. It's part of the appeal.
I understand you want to act like something's going on, but it's not.
Might be time for Chemist's Insight, perhaps.
Well, Allen might be loath to discard the hand size here.
It's true, too.
If he's on the draw, hasn't made a play yet.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, Chemist's Insight it is. Now, this card is unique to me because it's obviously good in the mirror, but not one. It's not one I think you can really counter.
No.
It's got jump start. You just got to let your opponent draw.
There just aren't that many counter spells.
Yeah.
The only thing is if Cunningham is in a spot where he is potentially missing land drops and you're close to discarding a hand size, then you might just counter it because you're going to discard anyway.
Gambit's Insight resolves Island and a mystery card drawn, and then Zach Allen will draw a card for his turn, of course. There we are. You getting a good look at Danny J?
Well, Zach started to talk, and Danny shrugged his shoulders before Zach was done talking.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Don't.
That's why you're on the team, Zach. Danny's over here playing over.
Don't ask me.
Yeah.
Do not ask me. Dan's gonna leave.
I think he's being a good teammate by staying. Because I would have left by now. Uh-oh, Harlan, Zach team up. Here we go. All right. Untapped, 18. We about to play a spell?
No, I think he wants to just be threatened to be able to make a Castle Ardenvale token here.
Okay. Then that means that ZA is probably going to have to discard the hand size here. That's what I'm thinking.
Already going to shift the burden onto Cunningham to act here.
And the discard Shatter the Sky. So Cunningham scryed with Castle, and we're going to go back his way. You think Robert's like, yo, can I just play this game? Can I just saddle in?
Yeah.
I love Azorius control. Narset time.
You know, honestly, with Allen having Castle Ardenvale, I thought there was a chance he just wasn't going to fight.
Yeah?
Just let that go.
Let's make a 1-1? Sure.
You know, that if you make a 1-1 and attack the Narset, then if Cunningham wants to activate it a second time, then he loses the Narset.
Yeah.
Often part of the problem is they draw two, and there's still this ambient thing locking down your card drawing. It's a lot less threatening if you're actually getting the Planeswalker off the table for your trouble.
Zach just played the land, passed the turn back very quickly. Omen of the Sea. Main phase. We'll do Scry 2 and draw a card. This may have been Robert Setter's plan all along. 2 Azorius controls. Double the fun.
Just get to dual box it.
Absolutely.
2 controllers.
Get as much as I can get.
1 controller, 1 punch-out glove.
Yeah, sure. There's an island. Split the difference on the scry. Cole Cunningham will pass the turn back. We're going back over to Zach Allen. Make a knucklehead. Get it started. And draw. Omen of the Sea.
And this is tough. I mean, again, we're seeing a replay of what we saw in game number 1 where the details here in Allen's list are going to force Cunningham to act. It doesn't look like a lot of pressure. It isn't a lot of pressure right now. But Cunningham doesn't have an option other than to just start casting stuff. And the problem with all of this is, what are the cards that, if you're Cunningham, you can bring in? You can bring in Mystical Dispute, but Allen's passing with all of his mana. He can actually just pay for Mystical Dispute. You can bring in Disdainful Stroke. That's fine, too. But it doesn't help you in any of the counter wars because everything is 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. So you're just stuck with Allen saying, like, go, here's all my mana. Any battle Cunningham wants to pick on his own turn is probably not going to go very well. And then he just makes a token if you don't do anything good. Remember, it's 3-1, although Cunningham has found his own copy of Castle Ardenvale. But remember, he's only got the 1.
And it got blown up by Field of the Dead last time.
Yeah. Allen
Field of Ruin. Another castle. Temple of Enlightenment for now. Scry 1.
Interesting here. Cunningham electing to go with Castle Bancherous instead of Castle Ardenvale suggests to me that there is something that he's trying to set up. He does have one copy of Sorcerer's Spyglass in his sideboard. Maybe that's come in.
Split the difference on the scry. Let's go back over to Cole Cunningham now. He'll untap all those lands. 7 of them on the battlefield. Main phase Omen of the Sea, perhaps? Yep. Not going to counter that, of course. So, scry 2, draw 1. Cole and Robert really thinking about this scry decision. Splitting the difference. New card coming. Ooh. Missed the land drop. About the same time he missed it last game, too. Omen of the Sea.
And again, Alan just got his mana, drawing some cards.
Probably make another 1-1.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the pressure is actually starting to add up here. Cunningham's going to fall to 14 on this attack, or he's going to just have to start tapping out to making his own tokens.
Yep. Tempo of Enlightenment again. I think, and it's so simplistic, but one of the things I think Zach has done a really nice job of, and I'm not saying Cole isn't trying to do this, but Zach is putting a huge priority on hitting land drops in this mirror. Zach, in the first game, he probably missed a land drop at some point, but it wasn't until his 11th or 12th land drop that he missed, and Cole missed kind of early-ish, around like land drop 8 or 9, and this game, Cole missed land drop 8. And you would think, hitting your first 7 land drops is a lot, but not in a game like this.
Yep. And I think it's actually going to be more pronounced post-board with Mystical Dispute as part of the equation.
Sure.
On a long enough timeline, you can just make that irrelevant. On a short timeline, it's going to be a hard counter for 1 mana.
Yeah, and you're seeing him continue to go towards Castle Vantress instead of Castle Ardenvale, which, again, that implies that he's trying to get something set up, but he might just need to try to find lands right now.
Right, those are the 2 lines, right? One is I need to find a certain mixture of spells to do something, and the other is I need to find enough mana to set up what's already in my hand. But I just don't know how Cunningham solves what's happening in this game, the tenor, and how repeatable all of this is. I suppose unless he has sided in and draws his 1 copy of the Sorcerer's Spyglass. It's really going to be the only way to slow this down.
Yeah.
Because what are the odds that you can get a sweeper to resolve here? Feels really low.
It strikes me as extremely low.
What are your odds of getting a Dream Trawler to resolve? That feels almost 0.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all your mana.
Dream Trawler is resolving if Zach wants it to resolve. That's it.
Your Planeswalkers, I mean, maybe they resolve, but they're not super effectual here. But Cunningham's given up the game on one front here, which is he could have been making a token with Castle Ardenvale for a long time here and trying to keep his head above water in that race.
Yep. And that's looking tough. Well, here's Dream Trawler.
Yep.
And that gets
right. This is the way the game goes. There was an opportunity here for Cunningham to make a token a turn. It wouldn't keep him up in the long term.
Yep.
But instead of taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage, it would have been 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It would have been a much longer runway. Now, because he's been using Castle Vantress instead, it's like he's going to 10 this turn. Next turn, he's going to 5.
And then it's dead the next turn. It's all adding up so quickly in a weird way. Quickly is maybe the wrong word to use, but it is starting to really add up. And Zach continues to just do the same thing. Scry, play a land with my temple, move forward. Never really put the shields down. He's got Absorb and Dovin's Veto in hand. You mentioned it, that the missed land drops means that Mystical Dispute worked itself into the equation. That was a 1-mana answer to Dream Trawler.
And how good would a Mystical Dispute be on Cunningham's side right now? Would not do anything.
And now we're starting to get in bad shape, because now this is the kind of card that if Cunningham were to veto that, fine. Zach still has mana to activate Castle. But if it resolves, even worse for Cole Cunningham.
And look at the timing that Allen does this at. So let's say he plays a mystical dispute to answer your Teferi. You pay 3, it resolves, and you still have absorb, a hard counter for any follow-up the next turn. Allen could have availed himself of this line several turns ago, but decided to wait until a spot where he could dead mystical dispute, and even if it showed up, he would still be able to hard counter a follow-up spell, and the Teferi resolves, and then there's no counter war. It's just a one and done.
There's Castle Vantress for Cole. He's got a 3-mana play. It's a Teferi of his own. And this is the kind of card that we saw Zach fight over in Game 1. Things were obviously different after sideboard, but Dovin's Veto is going to take care of that.
I think as long as Allen has a hard counter in his hand, he should be fighting over
that
it.
ain't resolving either, folks. Absorb is going to take care of that one, too. So a beautiful turn there for Zach Allen. Cole fell down to 8. Zach is going to untap all those lands, all those tokens. Teferi still on the battlefield. He'll draw a card. Picked up another copy of Teferi. And for as long as you and I have been doing these opens, my friend, rarely have we seen a team win multiple opens, let alone in the first 4 events of a year.
Right. I mean, there is these decks in the Game 1 at least are maybe a half dozen cards different, but it's like Allen gets 6 of the best cards in the matchup at the expense of 6 blanks, and it is a deficit that Cunningham cannot correct post-board either. And Allen has the deck lists. He's playing with very close to full information and has just picked Cunningham apart surgically in these 2 games.
Yeah, there's an attack for 4. Cunningham is going to fall down to 4. Dream Trawler, Whirlwind Denial, all these other cards in hand, but he doesn't have to play a single spell. Just can lean on Castle Ardenvale again. He's playing 3 copies to Cunningham's 1. Cunningham has 3 copies of Castle Vantress. And this game, I think, showed all the difference between the 2 cards.
Yes. I mean, I think...
How about we try it again?
Going to take a stab at it.
Whirlwind Denied.
Oh, that's 4 you need.
Yeah. That'll take care of that one. Zach's going to make another 1-1.
Teferi means no spells.
And there it is. Zach Allen, Dan Jessup, and Harlan Fear are going to win this game and match. They are your StarCityGames.com Philadelphia Open champions, and that means